We're back. How you doing?
Welcome back to Extra Good. It's been a while.
It has been a long while, but we're finally back in the garage and we've got some more opinions to throw at you whether you want them or not.
Let's get to it. We're excited to be back, and today we're going to be sharing with you how to choose a good project car.
Yeah, and it's not going to be telling you exactly what a model to buy. It's just an approach and philosophy to take towards making that decision of what works for you.
And if, like all those other YouTube viewers, you are searching for the right cheap project car, you're going the wrong direction, dude. Project cars aren't cheap.
They're not cheap. That's a lie. Whoever told you that is a terrible person. So get ready to spend a lot of money.
But what we will be covering today is how to choose the best project car for you, a project car that's going to be safe, reliable, and most of all, fun. Also, stick around because we're gonna be taking you guys through a walkthrough of our brand new 1975 Bricklin.
Yeah, the Brick. We're gonna talk about that and why that's kind of the absolute worst car to choose for a project vehicle.
And we'll be leaving you with a list of 5 good project car platforms from the 50s to the 90s if you need some ideas to get your own mind rolling.
My opinions, but you know, I'm always right. So let's check them out.
Let's get to it. The first step in choosing a good project car is figuring out what car is the right choice for you. It's not gonna be the same for everybody. You've got to think about what you like, what's your budget, can you work on it or not, what's your timeline. All of these things are great things to consider before you lay your cash down and buy a project.
I would think about, is it an old car? It might be easier to work on because less dependence on computers for making the car work. New cars are a lot more complicated as far as electronics go, so you may need to invest in complicated electronic tools, scan tools and computers for doing tuning. All that stuff really adds up. Whereas, you buy an old classic car, you just need like a 1/2-inch wrench, 9/16 wrench, and you can pretty much take the whole thing apart. Do you feel like you're gonna be a body guy? Are you willing to put in the time to make it look nice? Or should you buy one that is already really pretty and just needs all the mechanical stuff?
What's it gonna take to make the car safe and reliable? Safety is a huge thing. I've told you guys a story before about losing the brakes on my Studebaker. No good. Reliability, well, for old cars, every now and then you might be on the side of the road. Honestly, this thing hasn't left us there. Studebaker definitely has. I see them kind of as adventures, but at the end of the day, you don't want a car that you can't trust when you take it out.
But be realistic, it's an old car. You should not be surprised by the fact that it breaks down. So maybe have a spare tire. You're gonna need that. Have Auto Club subscription so you can get some roadside assistance if you need it. You should not own a classic car if you don't have roadside. Otherwise, you're just begging for trouble.
And obviously, not all project cars are old cars. They're not from the 50s, older. A lot of people love doing cars from the 70s, from the 80s, from the 90s. Heck, even 10-year-old cars can be considered project cars.
There's always going to be a little sacrifice needed to be made for however your project ends up being built.
Say you want a lowrider. Say you want a JDM style import. Maybe you don't have a ton of car friends or experience in the car world. Find somebody who has a car that you think you want. Ask them to take you for a ride. See if maybe you can find access to the type of car that you want and actually drive it yourself. Because that's going to give you really good information about, is this really a car that you want to dump your money and time into, or maybe do you want to consider something else? Now that you've chosen what kind of car you're looking for, what's your budget, you want to go out and evaluate a car that you're thinking about buying. So let's go through those steps. This is my $500 54 Chevy. It's not the kind of project car that most of you would want to get into. It needs everything. Its body is crap. It's going to be a very long-term project. I've got a driveline to go into it, and I'm willing to do the body work on it. Body is the most expensive and most difficult thing to do at home. It takes a long time, skill, fumes, sanding, just a lot of hard work. So you wanna evaluate, is there rust? I recommend that for whatever car that you're looking to buy, get on one of the drivers' forums. Are there specific things about that car that you should be aware of? Some cars always have the one spot that's gonna be rusty. Find the weaknesses of the car platform that you're looking at so you know exactly what to look for the car model specifically. Generally, just visually look the body, look underneath, see if you can identify any parts of rust or weakness. Bring a refrigerator magnet with you that you can put on the body and see if you can fill areas where there might be a lot of Bondo underneath. Identify if it's been in a crash or a wreck before. Sometimes wrecks cause structural damage, and that's something that you need to consider and be aware of if it's a car that you're willing to take home. Does it run? Does it stop? What kind of brake system's on it? Has it been upgraded? What kind of upgrades have been put on? Who did the work? What do the fluids look like? Is the car oil milkshaky, or is it look like you'd expect oil to look like? The brakes, inspect them visually if you can. Are the tires more than 6 years old? Rubber degrades over time, and you know those are going to need to be replaced. And then generally, is the car the right mix of things you're looking for? Color, paint, it can be changed. It might cost a lot. Interior, again, it can be changed. It might cost a lot. The engine, how much work do you want to do? How much time do you want to put into it? If it's been upgraded, are they upgrades that you'd actually want to live with? Know enough that you are willing to accept the faults, but you're never gonna have 100% knowledge, so be open to the fact that there's gonna be some prizes along the way.
I'm sitting here in number 1430, my 1975 Bricklin. I'm gonna give you a real brief history of Bricklin and why these are pretty much the car you do not ever wanna choose for a project car. Malcolm Bricklin founded Subaru America, sold that company off and used the money plus 70% financing from Canada and started the Bricklin Manufacturing Company and made these cars. And what he set out to do was not only build a really cool looking car, but also build a really safe car. So this thing has an integrated roll cage built into it. It has steel side posts that could withstand side impacts. The bumpers are basically concrete slabs on shock absorbers that allegedly can take a 12-mile-an-hour impact with sustaining 0 damage. It's very rare. Not in the sense of like a fine wine, it's rare in the sense that they didn't make enough before the business got shut down. So there's only about 2,700 that ever got made. And of that, there's about 1,500 estimated to still be in existence. So finding parts for it is going to be rather difficult because there aren't that many junk cars in the world to pull from. The car itself is built out of really weird material. It's a plastic shell with fiberglass support underneath. So you cannot just make these out of sheet metal. It's basically made out of the same stuff you'd make a Frisbee out of. When they built the car, the idea was you'd be able to use off-the-shelf parts to fix it. So you can use off-the-shelf brakes, off-the-shelf engine parts. The problem is that Bricklin teamed up with AMC to do the chassis, and AMC no longer exists. So therefore parts for those cars no longer exist. Then, halfway through production, AMC pulled out of the deal they made with Bricklin to supply the engines, and so now we have a Ford 351 Windsors and an FMX automatic transmission was the only available engine and transmission option in 1975 and moving on. Though the first 770 or so came with AMC 360s, and you could get a manual transmission or an automatic transmission. But when they went to the Ford motor, auto is all you got. It's a bad choice all around. It's impossible to get parts for it, and the stuff you do have suffers from things like it starts to peel, or at 150 degrees, the plastic starts to bubble. So you don't want to have this car in Arizona. I'm willing to look past all of that, and this is the coolest thing you can ever have on a car, is having gull-wing doors. Your only other options are going to be a DeLorean, which has its own set of problems similar to the Bricklin. It's made out of stainless steel. The chassis is garbage, the engine is garbage. Or you can get like a really high-end Mercedes that came with gull-wing doors, but I don't have the hundreds of thousands of dollars to afford that car. So I'm gonna go with my Bricklin. The Bricklin's got gull-wing doors. I'm willing to look past all this other stuff because I want the doors, that's it. And sometimes when you're looking at your project, you're gonna be willing to make those sacrifices.
Hi guys, I'm just reading some of the comments that you guys left on prior Extra Good videos. Specifically, the last couple we did on rebuilding an engine. First of all, there were a lot of naysayers out there who gave us crap for the fact that it wasn't really rebuilding an engine. It was tear down and reassembly. You're right. Rebuilding an engine, we would have had to do a whole series of videos. Every engine has its own specific things. That video was really meant for the entry-level person who maybe has never torn apart an engine before. You've got to start somewhere, and hopefully our tips that we put in that video are useful across the board for somebody who's just starting out. But we do intend on bringing you some more engine-specific stuff as time rolls on for maybe somebody who's a little bit further down the road. So look for that in the future. But I do have to give props to Eric. Thank you for chiming in. Boo to all the negativity in the comments. This is a great video for anyone thinking about doing their first engine rebuild. Fun to see the sweethearts working together too. We think so too, Eric.
If you've seen Extra Good before, you probably remember us working on a pickup truck and might be asking yourself, what's going on with that pickup truck?
I mean, it's only been like a year since we did a video, so in that time, honestly, less project than you might expect because I've been doing body work.
Body work takes forever. It's not called body easy, it's called body work, and that's exactly what it is. Gotten the fenders done, you've gotten the bed done, started working, I think, on the doors. We really made some great progress on the body work, but there's still just a lot to do. Still have the cab that we've got to get going, which we were able to weld the floor pan into that. So now the cab is one step closer to being ready for paint and body. And we've also done a few little things on the chassis. We got the transmission cross member in and modified for the exhaust system. And I've got my mufflers and X-pipe mocked up. But other than that, we're waiting on body parts.
And we're almost there. We are working to a deadline now, finally, that things are happening again out in the world. The Lone Star Roundup is in April, so be sure to subscribe to Driving Line to catch our updates as that truck gets on the road and we get to go have some adventures in it. To wrap things up today, we're gonna leave you with a list of 5 awesome project car ideas, just in case you need them.
I'm gonna go through the decades and go give you what I think would be a great car. For the 50s, obviously the 57 Ford is my choice. Can get Tri-5 Bel Airs, there's great factory supply and parts availability for those things, but just the same as for the Fords. There are lots of parts, lots of options for that vehicle. You can put pretty much any engine you want into it. So for the 50s, 57 Ford is what I would pick. Then moving into the 60s, 63 and newer Ford Falcon. The reason is that it shares a lot with the Mustang, so you can take advantage of all their aftermarket suspension and engine parts, but they're a lot cheaper to get your hands on and get into rather than buying a Mustang to start with. So the Falcon is a great choice for the 60s cars. Moving into the 70s, I would really be interested in getting a 240Z, little Nissan. Those things are great, really sporty. For the time, they are a very good performance car. And I would also recommend for the 70s, the 1979 Ford Mustang Fox body. It's the very first year of the Fox. And it's older, so generally you can get away with more emission stuff because of that. The 80s, you would think, oh, he's gonna say Fox body again. But no, I left the Fox body in the 70s so I can save the 80s for the T-top IROC Camaro. That is a great car to have some fun with, and you can easily do LS swaps into those things all day long and make a really fast, really fun 80s sports car. For the 90s, this one's gonna throw a lot of people off, but I would recommend the 97 or 98 Lincoln Mark 8. That car is the most underestimated car on the face of the planet. It has a 32 valve, all aluminum engine V8, 2-door. The thing screams, and when you look at it, you think your grandfather just showed up. So I really do recommend those Mark 8s. You can have a lot of fun with those for a very low price to get into them. So that's my choice for the 90s.
Ultimate sleeper.
Ultimate sleeper.
So there you have it. There is our 5 awesome car project picks. If you agree, disagree, have some other great ideas, leave them in the comments. We'd love to know what you're working on or what you think would be awesome to work on. And other than that, please subscribe to Driving Line. We'll be around. We promise it won't take a whole year. And we'd love to have you along for the journey.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching Driving Line. If you guys like this video, consider subscribing to our channel so you'll never miss any of the content we create here. Whether you're into trucks, Jeeps, imports, domestic vehicles, or anything in between, we are here to fuel your passion. So hit that subscribe button and we'll see you guys next time.